have become an extraordinarily important part of the software development process, and not just to debug, but to prevent unforeseen errors that could dramatically impact the mission-critical applications of a business. And it's widely known that software defects have caused billions of dollars of cost overruns for companies, and excuse me a moment, getting the slides back in sync. The cost of poorly tested software is dramatic in the industry, and as you can see in the bottom here, some recent major failures have been caused by software bugs. Email services of major smartphone systems were unavailable in 2006. Airline flights that were all locked up on the runways. There's a major car manufacturer that had a big problem with cars starting to run at high speeds, all due to software. In 2007, software described as bad cost the U.S. economy $180 billion. Software bugs cost the U.S. economy $59 billion each year. And this is just in the U.S. Worldwide, the numbers are even greater. And it is estimated that if we could improve the way we produce software, that we could save $22.5 billion. There's a number of reasons why software has bugs. It may seem obvious, but defects or bugs, whatever we would wish to call them, well, they will always occur. And there's a number of reasons that they do occur. And if we can minimize the challenges with the potential reasons that they're going to occur, we're going to have better quality software. And this is part of the genius of the Visual 2010 Test Edition. We have in the software addressed some of the 5 major areas that cause bugs to occur, and have addressed each and every one of them, and provided a tool set that will help to minimize these problems. So the first one is miscommunication. The second is software complexity. The third is programming errors. The fourth is changing requirements, and then the time pressures. Now, for miscommunication, what is it in the Visual Studio that addresses that area? And the biggest problem in software testing and software engineers is that there is silos that are built up between them. They don't effectively communicate. Often they're using various tools. They're using separate tools. They don't have a common shared data repository where they can track their defects or understand what's going on between the various divisions. And so that miscommunication and poor communication leads to more software bugs. And if we could have a way to minimize that by sharing our information, collaborating better, having integrated tools that would minimize the challenges and bugs that were caused through miscommunication. And Visual Studio 2010 in a large way addresses that by creating a shared repository. And now for the first time, testers and developers share the same information. They're no longer siloed. There's no longer a situation where the developer has one environment and the tester may have another that is completely different. There's an ability to test and to collaborate and communicate on a common platform. So it's a profound and terrific advance. The software complexity, there's nothing that can be done about software complexity. It's going to continue to be a challenge in the system. So in order to manage that, to have a complete solution that is an end-to-end solution like Visual Studio 2010 will address that and minimize and help to streamline that situation. Programming errors will occur. Humans are who are doing the programming, and they will always make errors. And if we can, though, use a tool to help to recognize those errors and point them out in a way that won't be dependent upon a human, will be terrific. And there's one of the new capabilities in Visual Studio 2010 is IntelliTrace, which when used correctly, it enables the developer and or the tester to determine what area of code has been exercised by a certain test and by a certain change, and determine whether an error has occurred. So that's a terrific advancement as well. And we're going to get into these in the upcoming sessions in a little bit more detail, just as an overview here to point out that bugs occur for these 5 various reasons, and the tools that we have are going to be able to address into each of these situations. Software needs to be tested. There was a day when testers was considered superfluous, and if there was a budget cut, testers were the first to go. These days, that's not the case, because the software needs to be tested, and actually even been proven that through fairly thorough research that the testing done by a software tester is more effective than testing done by any other person, but a developer or a manager or a business analyst. And that's because of their specific focus. And we'll be getting into that in session number 2. So why does software need to be tested? Well, first, because testing is an integral part of the software development process. You just don't code and bring it to market. You have to test your software. Up to 40% of the software engineering effort involves testing the application, either by a tester or a developer. But that's a large number, and I think that's surprising to many people. Up until now, there has not been a testing tool that has addressed the needs of the majority of the software testing activity, and now with Visual Studio 2010, that is available. So that's an exciting development and opportunity. Testing ensures quality. It's well documented that at least 1 in 10, and some say 1.5 in 10 lines of code, there's 1.5 errors in every 10 lines of code. The profitability, it's a hard number to gauge, but the simple fact is that when customers are satisfied and the software works, there's going to be increased profitability. And we know that how many times have we seen a computer error that has been caused of frustration, and companies have lost lots of money due to the fact that their applications are not working. So customer satisfaction improves profitability for sure. Now, why a tool for software testing? Up until now, software has been tested primarily by manual testing. It's been done by generalist testers that have used Word and Excel and other more manual methods for testing the software. But as we see the 5 drivers, productivity, profitability, getting the software to market more quickly, software complexity, and keeping pace with the changes, we need to have an ability to address each of those issues. And so we need now tools to help us to get this done. So in the area of productivity, we need to reduce the time that is duplicated and wasted because of poor communication and collaboration between the developers and the testers. We just don't have the luxury any longer to have a siloed team. And so the genius of Visual Studio 2010 will enable there to be a close collaboration between the developer and the tester. Profitability speaks for itself. We need to reduce the time to market. We need to compress the time it takes to bring one release out and the next release to market without reducing quality. How are you going to do that? In order to do that, you need to be able to thoroughly test the new version to make sure that there hasn't been any new bugs introduced and that there's the features that have been added have been thoroughly tested. And that's where our tool comes in. The tool comes in so that you can, there's a terrific facet of the Visual Studio 2010 called Fast Forward, which uses a manual, takes the manual testing and it automates it during the first pass. And we'll get into this more in the 3rd session, but in general, what it allows you to do is to really reduce the time